Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Laura Laporte from the admissions office at Fulton Montgomery Community College. And today we're going to be talking about how FM is going to be ready for the fall, regardless of what learning environment we are in at that time. Let me introduce you to our speakers today. We've got Marty Waffle, who's professor of computer science and computer information systems. He's also our technology division chair. Hi, Marty. Mark Swain, he is assistant professor of business. Hi, Mark.
Hi, everyone.
And Charlene Dybus, business technology, assistant professor for business technology and application. Hi, Charlene.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us today. And to the participants who are here today, you are muted, so you're not able to participate in the chat per se, but your questions are welcome through the chat function or the asking a question function. So you can go in and type in your question, and as the professors pause, I will read your question aloud and get answers for you from there. So today we're going to be talking about how FM has really prepared for the fall semester. At the time of this reporting, we don't know exactly what the fall is going to look like. We're anticipating a decision to be making in the upcoming weeks. But in the meantime, we thought it would be very helpful for people to understand all the work that's been done over the summer and ongoing throughout the summer to really make fall very successful at FM, regardless of what type of learning environment we're looking at for the fall semester. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Marty. Marty, I'd like to kick it off by asking you, what exactly is FM doing to be ready for the fall?
Okay, thank you, Laura. It's a great question. To answer that question, I have to add a little context. I want to talk a little bit about the spring semester and the lessons that we learned from the spring semester that basically helped us organize what we're doing for the summer. So back in the March, we did not have any idea that we were going to end up remote for the last 6 weeks of the semester. So what happened in summary is that we created a team called the COVID-19 Instructional Task Group, which consisted of 3 faculty members. I was one, Charlene, Mark. We were the 3 faculty members. In addition to that, Denise Passero from IT, and the college vice president and provost, Diana Putnam, along with Jackie Snyder, the academic dean. Our mission at that point was to assist 78 faculty members to move their courses from traditional delivery to remote delivery for the last 6 weeks of the spring semester. And really, because we didn't have any warning, that was a pretty daunting task. So our team used spring break to organize training sessions, and we built what we refer to as the farm, and I'll get into that a little bit later and describe what the farm is. But basically, it's a course structure that was going to be used by the majority of faculty at FMCC. And then we also created what's called the FMCC Faculty Resource Center. So the week following spring break, our students had that week off because, again, of the crisis that we were faced. There was an additional week added to spring break. Faculty were trained to use our learning management system. Many already were, but we had many that were not. Our learning management system is called Blackboard, and we'll continue to use that in the fall 2020 semester. Faculty were trained on a wide variety of delivery methods. So keeping in mind that they were expecting, as all of us, we were expecting to deliver our courses traditionally, which means basically in a classroom in front of our students, interacting directly with our students. And that all changed, and it happened very quickly. So we had to come up with ways to deliver our content to our students. So we trained many faculty how to do video recorded lectures, how to add audio and video enhanced PowerPoint presentations to deliver their content. We also had to go over collaboration tools such as we're using right now. We're using Zoom. We used a different product, and we'll be using a different one in the fall. But these were new concepts for many of our faculty, and we had a very short time to get them up and ready to finish that last 6 weeks. One of the biggest things that we did, and I've already mentioned it, was we implemented this farm concept. And this is something that worked out really well. And the idea of the farm basically, is to keep everybody on the farm. We wanted to have a very consistent structure for faculty to use in their courses, and therefore students, regardless of what courses they were taking, would see a consistent structure. So if they're in my course, taking maybe a computer science course, and they jumped into Mark's accounting course or one of Charlene's business courses, that the environment didn't look all that different to them. That was very, very important. And it worked out well, and we've actually enhanced it for the fall semester. So faculty had to implement that farm, again, in the last 6 weeks of the semester. And also, faculty spent a lot of time reaching out to students because students weren't expecting this either. So we had to reach out to our students and help them adapt to what the remote learning environment would look like and what they needed to do to be successful. As you can tell, everything that I've spoke about to this point was very reactive in nature. Nobody had any idea that this was going to happen until it happened. And therefore, we had to do the best that we could in the time that we had remaining. Now, I know that many people here are here because they want to know what's going on for the fall. What is FMCC doing for the fall? What is the faculty doing to prepare for the fall? So I want to spend some time talking about that as well. None of us know, and I know you already said this, none of us know exactly how the fall 2020 semester will look. There are many different scenarios, from a traditional delivery where, again, a faculty member would be in front of a class. Students would attend a class as you would expect in most courses. Remote is more or less what we're doing right now. A teacher could be delivering content through a computer, delivering content through our learning management system called Blackboard, but there is no direct contact. But there's also many scenarios in between. And we don't know where we're going to land. I mean, that's all to be determined. And I expect, as you do, in the next few weeks, we're going to have a definitive answer on that. But regardless of how it turns out, FMCC faculty are going to be ready. We have our same team in place. We've changed our name because we have moved from a reactive team to a proactive team. So our team name now is FMCC eTeaching Academy. And we're very excited about our new team and some of the goals that we have set forth for our team. Our mission, we're going to assist 75 faculty members to build courses that work in either traditional delivery or remote delivery, and we want this to be as seamless as possible for our students. So some of the things that we're doing to prepare for the fall 2020 semester, in fact, yesterday we had our first meeting where we brought together most of our faculty, and we discussed constructing syllabi that work for remote teaching environments and traditional environments, meaning that we're going to build one course, and we're going to build a course in such a way that if we're meeting traditionally, fine, it'll work. If we're reading remotely, fine, it'll still work. And we're going to also focus on having instructions that are easy to follow, easy to read, and easier to understand. So regardless of the environment, our students would be able to pull that syllabus up and know exactly how they should be interacting with the faculty member. So we spent a bunch of time putting together a template, and yesterday was our first release date of that template to our faculty. We're putting some finishing touches on it, and we're getting it in our faculty's hands by Friday this week. Mark and Charlene did a great job posing many questions to our faculty that they need to consider while they're constructing those syllabi. And, you know, again, I think it's going to be a great roadmap for the faculty member, but more importantly for our students, regardless of the environment. And that's key. We want it to be seamless. In addition to that, so let me just back up a little bit. So we did that yesterday. We're waiting about 4 weeks before we reconvene. And the reason is we want our faculty to spend a lot of time contemplating and, you know, thinking about and maybe even researching some of those 40 plus questions that Mark and Charlene raised during our presentation yesterday. Again, things to consider when delivering a course traditionally or remotely for students to be successful. So in July, we have 4 more. We're going to have another training session that's going to kick off. July 20th, we're going to have a session dedicated to teaching remotely. Now, many of our faculty already come with experience because of the last 6 weeks of the spring semester. But we don't want to just do what we did in the spring. We want to take what we learned in the spring and we want to make it better. So we're actually going to have strategies to actually, kick it up a couple of levels from what we did to end the spring semester. After that, on July 27th, we're going to focus on online community and interaction with students. We know that that's one of the huge keys to success for students. They have to feel like they're part of a group, part of a community, a learning community, and that there has to be constant interaction between the student, the faculty member, and other students. So we're going to have a bunch of strategies. Again, many of our faculty have already done some of this, but we want to, again, give them some strategies to take it to another level. We're then going to have another session, training session for our faculty on August 3rd that's going to focus on assessment. There are many different ways to assess student learning. We want to go through some techniques to assess student learning remotely as opposed to traditional. For example, if you give a test in a traditional setting, it's rather easy for the faculty member to control that environment. But if you give a test in a remote environment, it's not as easy to control that. So therefore, we would look to assess in other ways. Maybe give a project instead of maybe an exam. That might be, one example. But there's many different strategies for online assessment. We'll also at that point cover how to use rubrics for our faculty members. So that way we have consistent grading for projects and papers and those types of things. Students will know what they're going to be graded on because they have exposure to the rubric before they're graded. And we'll also talk about our gradebook system that's built into Blackboard. It's a great grading system. Students can find out at any point in time what their current average is, how they performed on specific exams, projects, discussions, whatever it is that the faculty members use to assess that student. So those are just some of the topics that we'll be hitting that day with our faculty, some of which some faculty know, but we may have a new faculty member that needs a little bit more training, and that's fine. We have a whole team of people and a lot of support, regardless of how long the faculty member's been there. And then we're going to have another session, and it's our last planned session right now, August 10th. We're going to discuss a tool very similar to the one we're using right now called Microsoft Teams. We're using Zoom today, and there's others. In the spring semester, we use something called Collaborate. But we're looking forward to using Microsoft Teams for the fall semester. So we'll have training sessions for that, again, so that our faculty know how to use this tool effectively with our students to have group communication, synchronous activities like we're doing right now, and even one-on-one discussions and training, much like an office hour. If a student wanted to drop by and see an instructor and have a private conversation, they would be able to do that with this tool called Microsoft Teams. So those are some of the training sessions that we have already on the books, already planned, and our faculty are very excited about attending this. We had great attendance yesterday, and I'm sure that's going to continue as we move forward. So one of the big questions, what can students expect to see during the fall 2020 semester as a result of all these training sessions that faculty are going through? Well, one great thing that I'm excited about, a consistent course menu within our learning management system. So we've been using Blackboard for years and years and years, and many faculty have been using it in the past. All faculty started using it in the spring 2020. All faculty will be using it in fall 2020 as well. But one thing that's going to be different this time is that when you log into Blackboard, if it's my course or Charlene's course or Mark's course or any professor on our campus, they're going to have the same experience. It's going to be the same course menu. So, for example, if you go to my course and you want to look up the syllabus, if you're taking a class with Charlene and you want to see the syllabus, you're going to actually do the exact same thing to find the syllabus in her class that you did in mine. Another example, when you want to visit an instructor if a student wants to visit me and talk about something. However they find the office hours in my course, if they need to see Mark in his course, they're going to go to the same place and find out how or what time Mark's office hours, what days, and how he's going to interact with his office hours. So that is something that I'm sure I'm looking forward to, but I'm sure our students are looking forward to as well, having that consistent experience. Something I've already mentioned, this consistent course structure using the farm. I'm actually calling it the enhanced farm because we took all of our good ideas from the spring semester and we just added to them. One example is we're encouraging faculty to use an online virtual office hour. So if a student isn't able to be on campus for whatever reason, that they still have access where they can see and talk to the instructor like we're doing right now. And the tools that we're using, we can actually take control of our screen and transfer to their screen so that we can demonstrate something as if they were in our office with us. So that is now built into this enhanced farm that we're talking about. This is also the area where students would drop their assignments. And again, once you learn how to drop an assignment in my class, the way you're going to drop it in other professors' classes is the same way. So it's not like you have to relearn. If you have 5 courses, you're not having to relearn 5 different ways to do these things. So consistency is something that we're really, really excited about implementing for this fall 2020 semester. And, you know, again, something I already mentioned, the course syllabi. We spent a lot of time building a template. We spent considerable time training on it. We're giving faculty ample time to work on these syllabi using the suggestions that we discussed yesterday. So students will actually see a lot of consistency in syllabi too. Now, obviously the courses are different, so the outcomes are different, the descriptions are different, but there are some things like how do you access Blackboard? What should I do when I get there? If I need help, what should I do? All of that's going to be the same on the syllabi, which I think it'll make it a lot easier and seamless for our students, and that's important to us. So those are just some of the things that are going on. As you can tell, lots of training. You know, we're after consistency. We want, regardless of the environment, we want it to be seamless for our students. We, you know, there might be a scenario where we might be traditional, we might be remote, back to traditional, we don't know. But I will say this, I actually don't even care. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna do my best, and I know I speak for many faculty. We're gonna create these courses so that they can be used interchangeably, and therefore, you know, we're gonna go to great lengths to make sure that our students are going to be comfortable regardless of how we are asked to deliver those courses. So you can tell I'm very excited, and you know, I'm just one of 75 different faculty members on our campus. We're not afraid of, you know, what potentially could happen. In fact, we're seeing it as an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to reevaluate everything we do in every one of our courses and make sure it's going to work for our students, whether we're there traditionally or remotely. And that's what we're doing this summer. I know it was a long answer, but there was a lot to say.
Omar, that was fantastic. I mean, really, as you went through the detail of that, thinking about it, actually taking a class remotely might have some huge advantages over the traditional way that people would normally go to college. Your point, in fact, as far as being able to find everything being uniform, you know, if you're taking 5 different classes, you got 5 different scenarios, if you will, and it sounds like this farm that you've created is really going to simplify that and also allow students to focus more of their energies on learning rather than figuring out how do I get to this or how do I find that, which I think that's really fantastic. So thank you for giving us all that background, because that's really, really great.
I'd just like to add, you know, and you made me think of this. I truly believe that if we end up remote, either the whole semester or part of the semester, whatever it turns out to be, I believe my students are going to have more access to me remotely than maybe even traditionally. And that's because of tools like we're using right now. And that's because of what we're going to build into our courses to make sure our students have direct lines of communication to us. So as far as accessibility, if anything, I think it would be enhanced.
Awesome. Well, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'd like to ask Mark a question. Mark, can you give us a sense as to what a typical remote course at FM would look like for the fall? Can you kind of walk us through that so students maybe who haven't maybe ever taken a remote class have a sense of maybe what to expect?
Sure. So I can talk about my remote class, how it's going to be designed for the fall. And obviously, as Marty said, we're training other faculty. So there'll be a lot of similarities and comfort for the student as well as the professor when delivering a remote class. I teach 8 classes in the fall, and the 7 of them are very different classes. But when I walk you through this outline, it's going to be the same for each of those 7 different classes. So first of all, I think it's important, if you haven't been to FM before, if you come straight out of high school, FM is a very small campus, and we have a very, like 75 faculty members, and we have a nice group of staff. So we all know each other. So the support systems are really great at FM. So we're kind of putting that in place with our system that we're building. And on campus, within the first week, it's always my goal to get to know every student's name. And I know I'm not the only professor that does that. I feel like building community on day one is really important. And when I say we believe in that as a faculty. So in the remote environment, the first thing we're going to focus on is building that community and getting to know everyone's name. Now, obviously, I can look at your name on Zoom or whatever we're using, or Microsoft Teams. But, straight away, we're going to do some kind of icebreaker activity where we get to know each other a little bit. You get to know other people in the class. I might have a class of 10 students. I might have a class of 20 students. So this remote class on day one will get us to know each other, build that community, make sure that you have the right systems in place to be successful for the course. And on the Blackboard outline, as Marty said, we all use this student management system called Blackboard. So the first thing is there's going to be a welcome. You're going to understand who your professor is, some of their expectations. And I always like to put in what is due when. So in a remote environment, you move off the campus, you're still logging in daily, weekly, whatever your professor tells you to do. But I have a calendar on day one that says, you have 3 tests, you have 5 discussions, and these are the dates of those things. And I feel that that's important to help you navigate, to be successful as you go through the course. So using the same system, we do icebreakers, and each professor might do something slightly differently, but that'll be part of each of my courses. If you took the same course with me, like you took Accounting 1 and then you took Entrepreneurship, I wouldn't give you the same icebreaker for each class. You might get bored of that, but we'll see how that goes. Then discussions, each week or every other week or per chapter or per theme, we'll have discussions to help guide your reading. So you might read a chapter or 2 and I'll pose a question. You'll answer that question based on your reading. And then as a group, we'll discuss, that was a great observation. I can add some more things that I would think would be important. We can listen to other students' input. And I also fill in the gaps where it might help guide you for upcoming assignments, also guide you for future tests. So these icebreakers and discussions use the same platform in Blackboard and help me find a place that I can check every day and help the students feel like they're part of that classroom in that environment remotely. Now, how am I going to deliver the materials? Well, we can use PowerPoint. I narrate PowerPoint. I use a lot of Microsoft Excel. So I model a lot of the things I want you to build. And I'll use that using a screen capture tool. And you might see me in the bottom corner with an Excel in front of me. And then I'll leave a place in Blackboard where you can open up a template and work on those files yourselves. I'll create short videos. Sometimes you might get sick of my accent. Students like, I don't understand. Where's he from? That's the first question in my icebreaker. Can you guess my accent? But Now, I might point you to YouTube. There's some other great accounting business professors out there that can also teach the subject. So using a balance of materials to help get the student get the best learning that they can have. So we have that all in Blackboard. Now, you may want to talk to me, right? Or your other professor. So we have a virtual office hour. Now, if that virtual office hour is on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock, you'll be like, you're crazy, I don't get up till 10. Then you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with me. We have inside Blackboard, we have a message system, and that message system will allow you to communicate with me, and we can set up an appointment if you need to. You may not want to do one-on-one with me, and I get that, right? Sometimes people don't want to talk to me, but you still want to know the subject, so you just send me a message. Hey, Mark, how do I figure out that theory? Oh, yeah, what did you try? And we can chat back and forth that way. Also, in Blackboard, we have another tool that uses the same thing as icebreakers and discussions, where you can have an individual question. So he just says, ask a question. So you wake up Monday morning, you're trying something. I can't figure this out. I know Mark's busy. He'll get back to me in 24 hours, but I'm going to post it out there. You post it out across the platform in Blackboard, and that the whole class gets to see the question. You know, how do I open up this in Excel? Well, hopefully somebody else might jump in and say, hey, you know, you could open up doing this. So I'll get to it eventually within that day, but sometimes we help each other out. It's like, you know, a team effort. So there's many ways for you to be successful. I know Charlene's going to talk about some of these things in a minute, so I don't want to step on some of the things that Charlene's going to probably talk about. But I'm definitely, and I know like there's many, many very personal professors on the campus. As I said, we get to know each other. You can definitely have one-on-one meetings. Sometimes you're studying for a test or you took an assignment. You know, sometimes I'll have an assignment and I'll say, I know this is going to be challenging. Try it. I'll guide you, and then you can have another chance of doing the assignment. So every professor has their uniqueness, but we're here to make you be successful. And what Marty just talked about was always designed for the student in mind. We want the student to be successful, and if we have consistency across our platforms, then you're more likely to be successful as you go from one class to the next. So if you take my class first and I show you how to do a discussion, guess what? You jump into Charlene or Marty's class, it's not going to be maybe a different question, but it's going to be the same tool, the same way to do a Dropbox. So I think students will be very excited about it. I have a senior in high school who's going off to college, and you know, I'm hoping that where she goes, they will use this platform too. We'll also do assignments. So before you can ask questions or whatever you want, but I'm going to do a couple more points. Obviously, you get assignments, you have tests. We have rubrics. I think Marty touched on that. So like, what do we expect? Well, you know, if you do this, you do this, you do that, you'll get an A. If you do this, you do that, you get a B. So you can look at it and say, okay, and if you get to that point, you're not sure what it means, then you go back onto an office hour or you send me a message, I can help clarify. And I can tell you this, if you work with your professor, especially at FM, they will work with you. Like if somebody asks me a question, I'm going to get back to them. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer, right? So, and I'm not the only one who will do that. So this system and the way we're building our classes for the fall is really designed for your success. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is grades. All my grades, no matter what they are, will be in Blackboard. So if you had a discussion and it was graded, at the end of the week, I always say within a couple of days, I'll tell you what it is each week. It's the same each week. I will have that grade entered. You drop an assignment in, let's say it's a spreadsheet or a marketing plan. I teach marketing. Within 3 days, I will have it graded, and your average for the class will be up there. So when you get to like 2 weeks in, you'll know what your grade is. There's no surprises. Now, I've been doing this at FM for 7 years. I've been teaching for like 18 years. I've done the same system, so nothing's really changed. It's just this central repository for students to be able to access it easily. So I'm sure I missed a few things, but there's a lot of information here. But feel free to send me an email. You can find my email up on the school website at FM, and I'll be happy to answer individual questions. That was a long answer again. I kind of probably sounded a bit like Marty, kept talking, so I apologize. But if you have specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Mark, that was great. And, really, I think homing in on that whole learning community, when I think about that, I think that students are going to get to know their classmates and you and all the professors so much more than they would have ever just sitting in a classroom, because of this conversation that you're having, this ongoing rapport with each other. And I love the point that you brought up, how students are helping other students, that really you're all kind of working together to learn, the objectives of the course, and working together, not against each other. You're not buying, there's not just so many A's. Everybody can get an A if everybody does a great job, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not like it's a
exactly.
competition. There's only so many A's. I love that whole concept of people working together to help each other and building this learning community. So, Marty laid out the foundation of how everything is going to be structured and so easy to navigate and familiar and complement each other. And now you're talking about how professors are really building this learning environment that is going to really support and nurture students to be successful at FM.
Yep.
And now I'm going to turn to Charlene, because Charlene is going to talk about, what can students do to be an active participant and be successful in a remote learning environment. That's an important aspect. So you got like 3 legs, if you will. So Charlene, I'm going to turn over to you and tell us about some best practices for students of how they can be successful.
Okay, thank you, Laura. If we do end up remote, what can you do? You can see from what my colleagues have said that we're on our end, the professors and the college are doing a whole lot of work trying to make it the best experience that anyone can have. And I think we're doing a great job of that. But also a lot of your success is going to depend on what you do in this remote setting. And we're certainly very aware of the fact you probably didn't sign up for a remote class. It wasn't what you planned on, but here you are, you're going to be in a remote class. So a couple of things, actually a lot of things I probably have, but one of the first things is to try to maintain a routine, right? So now we hear a lot now, our new normal. So you find out we are remote. What will your new normal schedule be, right? So how are you going to fit in classes? Maybe you're going to work, maybe your work schedule will be different. How are you going to work in a time to study and maybe work out? What is it? What is your schedule going to be? So you have to create that routine and try to stick to it as much as you can. Because if you have a routine, if you have, a routine that you follow, you're going to be successful. One of the things, if you had 9 o'clock class, you would be going to class at 9 o'clock, right? But now your class might not meet at 9 o'clock because it might be an asynchronous class, and so you might not have to go, but maybe you should still log into that class. So set your routine. The second thing I would say is that you should create a space to learn, right? I know that it might be very difficult, trust me. All of a sudden went from nobody home to everybody home. And we all had to work from home. We were working from home. We were studying from home, and we were all using the internet. And we all needed our space. And so I know this might be challenging for you, but do your best to find a space, no matter how small it is, where all of your learning materials can be stored. Right? Everything you need to learn is going to be in one spot. So that way you're sitting down to attend a synchronous class, you're not wondering, where's my pencil? Oh, I need a paper. Where's the book for this class? What was I supposed to do? Keep everything in one location, even if it's a small, tiny spot, just if you do that. And I'm going to kind of say, kind of avoid your bed. I know that's a comfortable place to work. If you were reading, sometimes I'm reading a textbook on my bed and all of a sudden my eyes get pretty tired, and before I know it, I might be napping and I've lost that valuable time that I could be studying. So if that's your only spot, of course, that's what you should do, but I'm just making some suggestions. So you want to find that space and then get organized, right? Get organized. You need to be organized. You need to break up your work assignments. All of a sudden you have 5 classes, just like if you were in the classroom, coming to the campus every day. You have 5 classes and you need to schedule your time. Schedule and manage your time. I'm going to say, get it started and get it done. Time passes quickly. All of a sudden, oh my gosh, that's the due date of my assignment, and I look and I have 5 assignments due. Because they're all due on the same day. And you're like, oh my goodness, now how am I going to complete this? Is it going to be your best work? Certainly not. It's not going to be your best work if you're hurried. So my suggestion to you here would be use a calendar. You can use a Google Calendar. You can go buy a calendar if you want, or you can, just create your own calendar and see each week on Monday, start off and say, what do I need to do this week for each class? When is it due? Do I have a discussion due? When is it due? When is my assignment due? What reading materials do I have? Do I have a synchronous class meeting? What do I have to do? And write it down and put it out into that calendar. Do I have a test on Friday that I need to study for? I have to tell you, I love to make a schedule. And the reason I love to make a schedule is because I love to cross things off. When I'm done, it makes me feel like I was so productive because I get to cross it off that schedule and I'm done and I feel really good about myself. So that might help you as well. If your class is asynchronous and you're not going to have any scheduled class times, you still should, I suggest to all my students, I've been teaching online for a long time, I suggest you log into your class at least 3 times a week, just the way you would attend class. If you attended class 2 times a week, then I would sign in 2 times a week to make sure that you're up to date on anything. You're checking on discussions, you're checking for announcements that your professor might have made. You keep up to date, just like if you went into the classroom, your professor would update you on things, the same thing will happen. So just try to do that. And I think that really helps with the success of the students that I noticed when I do teach an online class, which is different from remote, but they are successful. And then we're home and there's a lot of distractions. Trust me, I know about distraction. No matter what I post on my door, somebody in my family's walking in when I'm in a meeting or something like that. My dog's barking, something's happening, but you can eliminate some of your distractions. One of our big distractions is our phone, right? Our phone is a big distraction. So what can you do to avoid that? Well, you can put your phone on do not disturb. You can put it away while you're, studying, while you're doing something, so that it doesn't distract you. And I know that many of us are convinced that we're great multitaskers. We're sure that we can multitask. We can text and we can watch Netflix and we can listen to a lecture. We're just really good at that. And I want to say, probably you're not. Probably you're not that good at that. When you go to text, you are going to read the text that somebody wrote you. You're going to answer them, and maybe it is only going to take you 30 seconds, but in that 30 seconds, your professor could have said something that was really important for you to know for your test or for your assignment that you're going to have to do. So really work hard to try to eliminate those distractions, whatever it be for you. And be honest with yourself about what distracts you and what doesn't distract you. And if your assignment's done, turn it in. Just because it's due on Sunday night doesn't mean you can't turn it in at any time during the week. That's one of the beauties about being a remote setting. That Dropbox is open for the whole week, and you can put in your assignment anytime. So you've proofread it, you've looked at it again, it's ready to be turned in. Go ahead and turn it in, because technology can fail. We all love technology, and I love technology. I do love technology. I love my phone. I love my computer. I like, to know what's the newest thing going out there in technology, but it can fail. Your internet can go down. We could have a power failure. Blackboard sometimes goes down for brief times, not very often, but it does happen. So now it's, 15 minutes before it's going to close, the assignment's going to close, and you're in a panic because you can't get it in. So again, remember those things can happen. Communicate with your professors. We're here. We want to communicate with you. We want to help you through this process. But sometimes a lot of students don't ask for the help that they can get. So if you need help, please ask us. ask a question. We're going to be there, and I know I can speak for all my colleagues with that. We want to help you. We want to see you be successful. It makes us feel just as good to see you success as you feel it yourself. Your classes could be synchronous or asynchronous in a remote setting. If you do have a synchronous class where your professor is going to ask you to sign in on your class time, whether it be 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or sometime through the week, be prepared to attend that session. So if you were in the classroom, if they asked you to read a chapter beforehand, or listen to listen to a lecture beforehand, be prepared to have done that, and so that you can ask questions. That's the great time to ask questions right there. And also take notes. Just like if you took notes in the class, take notes for a synchronous lecture as well. That certainly will help you be more successful. If your class is asynchronous, where your professor might have taken their lessons and they've recorded their lectures and they've given you notes and all, things that you can do at your time during the week whenever you need to, sign in early. See what you need to do. Make sure you view all the lectures and read all the assignments, read all the chapter assignments before your assignments due. There is something in those lectures or that reading material that you need to complete your assignment. So if you think you could do your assignment without doing that, chances are that's not going to be true. You're going to have missed something that your professor wanted you to know about. So they tried to communicate that with you. Another thing, and we've been talking about this a little bit, is create a virtual study group with your friends. I think this could be so beneficial. I know a lot of our students love to work in groups. And so they, and especially in the business division, we have a spot where they can work in the classroom. So if you can set a virtual group together, it doesn't have to be a lot of people. 1 or 2 can certainly help you. The last thing I want to say is take care of yourself, right? Your health is most important. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, you're getting plenty of rest, and you're doing all the things that you need to stay healthy, because when you're healthy, you'll be able to do a better job in your class. And know yourself, know what your personal strengths and weaknesses are. And if you're struggling with technology, we can help you with that. We have a system that you can borrow computers from the college, and we also give all of our students access to Microsoft Office. So just ask and we can direct you to the place. So don't struggle. Don't let anything be your obstacle. We're here to help you every step of the way. We want you to be successful.
Thank you, Charlene. That was really great. When I was listening to all the points that you made on there, would you say the points that you made talking about maybe remote learning would hold true for a traditional student as well? All those things that you talked about, do you feel as though that would be the same advice you would give someone in a traditional class?
Really, yes. Most of, all the way through, all of those things are important no matter what setting you're in. They tend to, because of some of the struggles you might have creating your space, and because of some of the flexibility that happens when you're in the remote setting, sometimes we can lose track of time. So that's why some of those things become more important in the setting.
Good. Well, I want to thank you all for all the very good information. I think you've really given us all wonderful insight into what you have planned for the fall semester, and more importantly, how students can be very successful regardless of what learning environment we will be in the fall. And as you all have said, we don't know exactly how that's going to pan out right now, but it sounds like we've got it covered, whether it is going to be completely remote or hybrid or partially traditional, whatever the case may be. It sounds like we've got that covered. So I want to thank you all for your participation and very good information. And I'd like to talk to the audience and just say, if you're interested in learning more about Fulton Montgomery Community College, the admissions team is here to help you, and we'd love to set up a phone appointment with you to get to know what your career goals are and really talk to you about how FM can help you achieve those goals. We offer a free application for admission on our website, which is fmcc.edu. You just simply need to apply for admission, and to be accepted to the college, you need to prove either you graduated from high school, or if you earned a high school equivalency diploma, formerly known as a GED, we will accept that as well and accept you to the college. And the admissions team will walk you through that enrollment process to get you set up. Now would be a great time. There's still plenty of great classes available, plenty of time to get your financial aid in place. And again, we'll walk you through that entire process. So if you're interested in maybe learning a little bit more or have additional questions after the fact, please don't hesitate to visit fmcc.edu, and we'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone and have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.